Hey everybody, welcome back to day 2 of what I've seen lately. Excuse me if I'm going to be talking a little bit lower because people are asleep and school is back in session, so I'm just trying to be a little bit courteous to my brother-in-law. He's probably not asleep, but just got to be courteous. And I will try my best to not really project because the film that we're talking about will probably get me a little bit riled up. Kind of an indication of how I feel about the film. That film being News from Home, which is a documentary that was directed by, sorry, get my phone over here, Chantal Ackerman, which was released in 1976. It's a piece of avant-garde, which is a nice way of saying experimental. And what it is a collection of shots from New York City, with narration from Chantal Ackerman, who provides narration of letters that her mother gave her and wrote to her while she was in the city. And ultimately, as the film moves through, what you get is a film that acts like as a time capsule, in that to a certain extent, it acts that way. You get like many shots of the city, primarily shots of the streets, like people walking on the streets, cars driving on the streets, her in a car driving, or in a car filming the street as she drives through. And just and also subway shots, plenty of subway shots. So it acts like a time capsule, and if you view it from that confined, I guess there is some merit to be had with it. But for me, I found it to be, as you could tell by my face, just staggeringly boring. Just so boring, just so dull. Because the thing about avant-garde, the thing about films that operate in in that type of capacity where they where they go for an experimental approach, there has to be a certain kind of energy and a certain kind of activity taking place for a justification of for a justification to present itself, within your oddness, the way that you're presenting certain elements. There should be those elements there, so that there feels more of a justification and more of a reason to stay around. And there really isn't any of that in the film. What you get in the film is just unbelievably pretentious optics. The shots are just lingering to no end whatsoever. The last shot of the movie is literally, I believe, a good 5 or 6 minutes of her on a ferry, just like panning out of literally the city of New York, and just keep going, 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 and just keep going. Like that's mostly what the film is, because I get thematically what the film is trying to demonstrate. It's about basically about someone's growing independence, their growing detachments, and within that some sort of loneliness that's being formed. I get what the film is trying to talk is ultimately, because the film being about her, obviously, she's literally narrating the film. I get what she's trying to express through the film, but to get to that, you get that point very quickly. Like, it's not something hard to figure out. Within avant-garde, there should be some kind of, that awe factor that you get in avant-garde. Like, oh, what does it mean? What does it mean? It's so deep. That's not what you get with News from Home. What you get is something that is so apparent and so obvious and so knowing and so hollow in aesthetics, because they just bear a redundance in both visual qualities. Like I said, most of the time it's just street shots. Like there's literally a 5 or 6 minute shot. Again, like street shot, street shot, street shot, and then the occasional letters from her mother, at very like strange moments. And those letters really don't demonstrate anything more than what was established at the beginning, which is the fact that she is growing more detached and that she's becoming more lonesome and that she's becoming more independent. Like we know this, and I don't need that to be told to me repeatedly for an hour and a half. It is so boring. It is so lifeless. It is so pretentious by design. It is so meaningless as a result. Like, it's the kind of avant-garde that just feels completely unjustified. Like, there's no reason for this film to exist. It is like just a complete act of self-indulgence. Someone who just is just like looking for some way to get her story out there. Let me just prolong it. Let me just let these shots linger enough. I need some sizzle reel or something like that. Something of a presentation of my ability as a filmmaker, a storyteller, whatever like that. And like, the more the shots played, the more of that, like, it just felt like padding. Like, it didn't feel like these prolonged shots. Like, it's just oh man, like I understand thematically what I was trying to do, but I mean, the lack of dialogue, the lack of activity, the lack of energy to speak of, like, I really was just I was just so bored. The last shot of the film, I literally told myself in the last shot of the film with the New York shot, I literally told myself, if this shot plays for another minute, I'm just going to turn it off. And thankfully the film ended at that point. But I mean, and also, like, the purpose of it, like, I guess some people justify it as like a time capsule of some sorts. If you grew up in the 70s, if you were around when this movie came out, just go outside. Go outside. Congratulations, you have already seen the movie. Like, there's no point for the film to exist rather than being some kind of time capsule if you were to be around here, if you existed here, But if you existed in the 70s when this film came out, there is no point whatsoever for this film to exist. Like, there's none. There's no personal lenses being used. There's an attempt to, but it's more of just an act of self-indulgence, more of someone just just kind of stroking more than expressing. Like, it's just so boring, and I have no, like, I'm pretty sure it's just these films, these film snobs who are just loving it, because I see people really really loving this film, and it has to be those those types of like pretentious artists who are just like, it's super deep and it has so much gravity to it because of how you feel about it. Well, you know how I felt about it? I felt it was just a snooze. I felt it was just someone that really didn't have much of an idea and just used a bunch of shots that they gathered in their free time and just prolonged it as much as possible and then slapped over it the term avant-garde to justify its own existence. Because if you were to take it out of that context, out of the context of avant-garde, of it as an experiment, it is a meaningless movie. There is no reason for the movie to exist. It is a YouTube video. It is something that you look up on YouTube. 70s New York reel. That's what this is. So, it's not the type of film that I thought it was going to be. I thought in some respects it would kind of be like Camera Person. But with Camera Person, there's more of a justification. I mean, yes, it goes against itself, but man, is there no real it shocked me how purposeless it was. I was really really amazed by how purposeless it was. There's literally 10 whole minutes of driving down empty sidewalks with no dialogue playing, no real noise, no real substance to it, no real point to the shot. You're just waiting for the next narration, and the next narration is a sliver of progression, because ultimately here's what the movie's about. She's in New York, her mother's in one place, her mother misses her, and then she's moving on. She's becoming her own person. That's it. I just saved you an hour and a half. So, um, and like I said, if you grew up in the 70s, just take your ass outside. You've seen the movie already. So, um, if you were literally in the 70s when this movie came out, all you had to do was take your ass outside. You saw the movie. So, um, or if you're in here today, again, yeah, you can consider it as a time capsule, and in some capacity you can. But for my money, just go on YouTube and look up 70s New York Reel. You've seen the movie. So yeah, I'm a little bit saucy today. Sorry. I just found the movie so I was very irritated watching it. I just like really, really self-indulgent. Um, so yeah. So those are my thoughts on News from Home. I found it to be completely meaningless, and unbelievably without merit. But you guys want to know your thoughts on News from Home if you guys have seen it. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of the film. Do you consider it a piece of avant-garde, or do you think where I do, where I think of it as an avant-snooze? So, I don't know. It's kind of a bad joke, I know. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video, which is tomorrow. So, see you guys then.